Qualified in 1954 and worked in the Wellington Public Hospital, and in about 6 or 7 months I decided that I would set up and practice and see how I got on. And the doctors that used to be involved with the physiotherapy, the orthopaedic surgeons and the rheumatologists, I had a good rapport with them. You know, we weren't pals in those days. You know, this was Dr. So-and-so and this was Mr. So-and-so. But when I went into practice, they supported me, and that was rather nice. And I couldn't believe how successful I was in private practice. You know, almost within a month, I had a full book and patients coming to see me. But my skills were limited. I realised that I still had a lot to learn. But it's amazing. I still think that, you know, psychotherapy, well, not psychotherapy, but your approach to patients is very, very important. And I remember one lady who used to come to me, a very wealthy woman. I said, "Why do you come to me?" I'm in this old building. She said, "Because every time I see you, you always are confident and you know what you're going to do and you're going to help me." And it was my attitude to her that made her come to me. And I remember I had perhaps the third ultrasonic machine to be bought in the country. And I bought a machine that cost as much as a motor car. It cost £500, and it had 2 sound heads, 1 megacycle and 3 megacycle, and 1 megacycle head you'd use on fingers and, you know, superficial, and you'd use the other. And it did work. Patients did respond to ultrasound. And the company that produced that machine also produced a single-headed machine. And they eventually went bankrupt. Apparently they were tooled up to make this big machine, and the cheaper machine was just a side issue, and no one was spending the money buying the other machine. And so they just folded and finished. They went bankrupt. But it seemed to be a very effective machine. It always had a good response when you put water on the head to see if it was bubbling and effective. You had no other way of testing it in those days. But anyway, my practice was successful, and what really changed us was when Jennifer Hicklin came here in the 1950s, and she was James Syriax's top physiotherapist. And she came to New Zealand and went right from Auckland down to Dunedin, and she spoke to physiotherapists and to the medical profession on Syriax's diagnosis and his treatments and manipulation. And when she was in Wellington, she wanted to volunteer to show the manipulation Syriax would do, and I couldn't volunteer quickly enough. And then when she demonstrated these techniques to the medical profession, I was her model. I wanted to learn as much as I could. And I was most impressed. She taught frictions, and I remember having a one-armed man who had a shoulder problem, and he did respond to frictions. And she started the treatment off, and we saw how well he did, and I finished the treatment after she had gone. The only thing was that she manipulated my back one day, and I had sciatica for 4 days, but I hobbled round, I didn't worry too much. But she let us know that there's a lot more to learn, and even Stanley in Paris was impressed with Syriax's system of diagnosis. And it was interesting, Hamilton Bailey, which is a standard medical textbook, tells you how to diagnose everything by physical science, doesn't acknowledge people like Syriax. He was an outcast as far as the rest of the medical profession was concerned. I can't remember any textbooks years ago having any reference to what Syriax did. But anyway, he sort of ignited a spark within us all to learn to manipulate and learn to be more accurate with our diagnosis and do things like frictions. So that was exciting too. And then, of course, following on from that was Freddie. And he taught us to manipulate specific joints. And even today, I have patients come to see me who have been everywhere because someone can't manipulate a particular joint that needs to be manipulated. And they've been to physios and chiropractors. And they come to me and I have no trouble because I use a Freddie technique that he taught me years ago. And it's quite nice being able to do things like that. Gives you a sense of satisfaction. And the patients love it because there's something magical about a click as far as patients are concerned. And I find with thoracic spines, I will on courses, if someone's got a thoracic problem, manipulate them, see there's not a lot of difference, and then I'll snake them and get a remarkable difference. So I'm able to show people, that you don't have to manipulate, you can treat people using other techniques. But there are times when it's your best choice. And we should never give up manipulation.